everybody, welcome back. I'm sitting here in my backyard on my trampoline. So if you see some shakes on the video, that's why, and some lovely outdoor sounds here. So we're going to continue on with the Pilgrim's Progress simplified version. Christian was left to tumble in the Slough of Despond as well as he could, yet his aim was to reach the side of the slough that was near the wicket gate. At last he did this, but he could not get out because of the burden that was on his back. Then I saw in my dream that a man came to him whose name was Help. "What do you do here?" said Help. Christian: "I was told to go this way by Evangelist. He told me to pass up to yonder gate, that I might flee from the wrath to come. As I was going, I fell in here." Help said: "But why did you not look for the steps?" Christian: "I was so afraid that I ran as fast as I could and fell in." Help: "Give me your hand." So he gave him his hand, and he drew him out and set him on firm ground and bade him go on his way. Then in my dream I went up to Help and said to him, "Sir, since this place is on the way from the city of destruction to the wicket gate, how is it that no one repairs this patch of ground, so that those who come by may not fall into the slough?" Help: "This slough is such a place as no one can repair. It is the spot to which doth run the scum and filth that come from sin. That is why men call it the Slough of Despond. When the man of sin wakes up to a sense of his own lost state, doubts and fears rise up in his soul, and all of them drain down and sink in this place. It is this that makes the ground so bad. True, there are good sound steps in the midst of the slough, but at times it is hard to see them. Even when men do see them, their heads are so dull that they step to one side and fall into the mud. But the ground is good when they have once got in at the gate." Now I saw in my dream by this time Pliable had gone back to his house once more, and that his friends came to see him. Some call him a wise man for coming home, and some called him a fool for having started out in the first place. Others made fun of him, saying, "Well, had I set out, I would not have come back just because of a swamp in the road." So Pliable was left to sneak off alone and ashamed. Now as Christian went on his way, he saw a man come through the field to meet him, whose name was Mr. Worldly Wiseman. He had heard some news of Christian, for his flight from the city of destruction was now being talked about far and near. So he said, "How now, good sir? Where do you go with such a burden on your back?" So here is Christian and Mr. Worldly Wiseman having a conversation. And you see that Christian still has the pack on him, that heavy burden. Christian said, "In truth, it is a burden, and if you ask me where I go, I must tell you, sir. I go to the wicket gate in front of me, for there I shall find a way to get rid of my burden." Worldly Wiseman: "Have you not a wife and children?" Christian: "Yes, but with this burden I do not seem to care for them as I did. In truth, I feel as if I had none." Worldly Wiseman: "Will you hear me if I speak my mind to you?" Christian: "If what you say be good, I will, for I am much in need of help." Worldly Wiseman: "I would urge you then with all speed to get rid of your burden, for your mind will not be at rest till then." Christian: "That is just what I seek to do, but there is no man in our land who can take it from me." Worldly Wiseman: "Who told you to go this way to be rid of it?" Christian: "One that I took to be a great and true man. His name is Evangelist." Worldly Wiseman: "Listen to what I say. There is no worse way in the world than that which he has sent you. You will find that out if you take him for your guide. In this short time you have already met with bad luck, for I see that the mud of the Slough of Despond is on your coat. Hear me, for I have seen more of the world than you. In the way you go, you will meet with pain, hunger, thirst, the sword, and even death. Take no heed of what Evangelist tells you." Christian: Why, sir, this burden on my back is worse to me than all those things of which you speak. I care not what I meet with in the way, if I can but get rid of my burden. Okay, so here's worldly wise men trying to convince him that Evangelist steered him wrong. Let's see what else he has to say. Worldly wise men. How did you get it in the first place? Christian. When I read this book. Worldly wise men. Like other weak men that I know, who aim at things too high for them, you have lost heart. You run in the dark at great risk to gain you know not what. Christian. I know what I would gain. I want to get rid of my burden. Worldly wise men. But why will you seek for ease in this way, when I could show you a way to gain it without any risk? Christian. Pray, sir, tell me what that way is. Worldly wise men. Well, in yonder town, which you can see from here, the name of which is morality, there dwells a man whose name is legality. He is a wise man and a man of some rank. He has ability to help men get rid of such burdens as yours. He will tell you that if you keep the 10 Commandments, your burden will disappear. To him, as I said, you may go and get help. His house is but a mile from this place. There, I say, you may go to get rid of your burden. I would not have that you go back to your old home, but you can send for your wife and children, and you will find that food there is cheap and good. Christian thought for a moment, and then he said, Sir, which is my way to this good man's house? Worldly wise man. Do you see that hill? Christian. Yes, I do. By that hill you must go, and the first house you come to is his. Okay, let's see what this house looks like. Here's a sneak peek as to what this house looks like. You see that on top of that steep cliff? Okay. So Christian went out of his way to find Mr. Legality's house to seek for help. But lo, when he had got close up to the hill, it was so steep and high that he was afraid it should fall on his head. So he stood still, not knowing what to do. His load too seemed to weigh more than when he was on the right road. Then came flames of fire out of the hill that made him quake for fear lest he should be burned, and now he was greatly grieved that he had listened to worldly wise men. It was well that he had just then saw Evangelist coming to meet him. At the sight of him, however, Christian felt a deep blush creep on his face for shame. Evangelist drew near, and when he came up to him, he said with a sad look, What dost thou here, Christian? To these words, Christian knew not what to say, so he just stood. Then Evangelist went on, Art not thou the man that I heard cry in the city of destruction? Christian. Yes, dear sir, I am the man. Evangelist. Did I not point out to thee the way to the wicket gate? Did I not tell you that there is only one way to get rid of your burden? You cannot do it by keeping the law, for you can never keep the whole law. Christian. Yes, you told me all that, sir. Evangelist. How is it, then, that thou hast so soon gone out of the way? Christian. When I had got out of the Slough of Despond, I met a man who told me that in a town nearby I might find one who could take off my burden. Evangelist. What was he? Christian. He had fair looks and said much to me and got me at last to yield, so I came here. But when I saw this hill and how steep it was, I stopped, lest it should fall on my head. Evangelist. What said the man to thee? When Evangelist had heard from Christian all that had taken place, he said, Stand still a while, then I may show thee the words of God. So Evangelist read, Now the just shall live by faith, but if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. Is not this the case with thee? Said he. Hast not thou drawn back thy feet from the way of peace to thine own cost? Dost thou not turn away from the Most High God? Then Christian fell down on his feet as dead and said, Woe is me, woe is me. At the sight of this, Evangelist caught him by the right hand and said, All manner of sin shall be forgiven unto men. Be not faithless, but believing. Then did Christian find some peace and stood up. Evangelist. I pray thee give more heed to the things that I shall tell thee of. The Lord says, strive to go in at the straight gate, the gate to which I send thee. For straight is the gate that leads to life, and few there be that find it. Why didst thou take lightly the words of God, and listen to Mr. Worldly Wise Men? The Lord hath told thee that he who will save his life shall lose it. He to whom thou wast sent for ease, legality by name, could not set thee free. No man yet has got rid of his burden by trying to do right. He could only show thee the way to sorrow, for by the deeds of the law no man can get rid of his burden. Mr. Worldly Wiseman and his friend Mr. Legality are false guides. Now Christian, in great dread, could think of nothing but death, and was very sorry that he had left the right way. Then he spoke once more to Evangelist in these words, Sir, what think you? Is there hope? May I now go back and try to reach the wicket gate? I grieve that I gave ear to this man's voice, but may my sin be forgiven? Evangelist, thy sin is great, for thou hast gone from the way that is good to walk in false paths. Yet the man at the gate will let thee through, for he has love and goodwill for all men. But take heed that thou turn not to the right hand nor to the left. Then did Christian make a move to go back, and Evangelist bade him Godspeed. So here is Evangelist right here sending off Christian on his pack, getting him back on track to go to the wicket gate. And he said the road's not going to be easy, but that's where you need to go. Okay, I'll see you all soon.